What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. In this video, I just want to do a quick review of the Nitto Trail Grappler tires. I wanted to do a 10,000 mile update. So I had these tires put on when my odometer was at 33,000 miles on my Silverado Trail Boss 5.3 liter V8. And now I'm up to 42,000 miles. And my truck is actually at Lingenfelter Performance Engineering right now, getting a Magnuson supercharger installed. So I have all the tires sitting here at my house because I put the factory tires on for them in case they want to do some road testing with the supercharger or do some dyno runs. Can't really go on a dyno with aggressive mud tires. So while I have all these tires off the truck, I figured we could take a close look at them. I'll give you my thoughts and my experiences with them so far in mud, off-road, snow, on-road, highway, local driving. And I'm really impressed by these tires. In fact, when these wear out, I'm gonna replace them with the same exact size, same set of tires. I really like this size. I think it's perfect for a half-ton truck, 295 70 R18, which comes out to around 34 by 12. It's actually like 34 and a half by 12 and a quarter, so it's almost a 35-inch tire. But these are load range E, and so they're actually a lot stronger than a 35 by 12 and a half. They have more plies and they have a higher load rating, so they're a stronger tire. They have 1,000 pounds more load capacity per tire than a 35 by 12 and a half. That's why I went with these instead of the 35s. So really love these tires, guys. They're excellent for off-road, obviously, and they're really good on-road as well. And I want to show you guys the tread wear. So at around 9,000 miles, the front tires are down to 15-30 seconds, and from the factory they come at 19-30 seconds. And the rear tires, I just had them rotated, are down to 13-30 seconds, and that's out of 19-30 seconds for the factory rating. So not much wear, just a couple of 30 seconds of tread wear after 9,000 miles. I'd say that's really good. Now, I do use these extensively off-road, so I don't do a whole ton of street driving with these. Obviously, I do a lot of street driving with these, but maybe not as much as most people. I use these extensively off-road. As you can see, they're dirty. There's dried mud on them. I'm always going off-road with them. I use these for what they're made for. Okay, but let me just get my little tread depth gauge here so you can see where we're at. So this is the rear tire, and you can see we're at 13-30 seconds. Okay, and the front tires are at about 15. So I'd say that's really good for 9,000 miles to wear out only a couple of 30 seconds. So my guess is I'll probably have to replace these maybe in 10 to 20,000 miles. So they don't have a tremendously long tread life. So if that's an issue for you, then these tires are no good for you. If you want to get a tire that's going to last you, 40,000, 50,000 miles, then you need to not look at mud tires altogether, because mud tires have a softer rubber compound, which helps them to grip terrain off-road. The softer rubber flexes more when you're going off-road. Let me just get my little gauge here and show you guys where we're at on this one. So this one's at 14, okay? So, and some of them are at 15, the others are at 15. So that's what you would expect after about 9,000 miles. These are Method bead grip rims or wheels, whatever you want to call them. And what's nice about these tires is they do have a rim protector here. So as you can see, the rim is set back into the tire. So this little part right here protects your rim from getting scratched when you're going off-road. So these are load range E, okay? Max load for one tire, 4,080 pounds. Okay, so that's 1,000 pounds more per tire than the 35 by 12.5s. And if you want to see my truck, check out my truck playlist. I'll leave a link in the top right corner. Like I said, it's at Lingenfelter right now. Now, another nice thing about these trail grapplers is that they have really tough sidewalls. They have a 3-ply sidewall, so you're very, very unlikely to tear the sidewall on these if you're going off-road through some stony terrain with sharp rocks. Like here in Pennsylvania, there's a lot of shale and sharp stones, so that's always a concern. But really nice tires, guys. Absolutely love them, and they're actually made in the USA. Isn't that cool? Oh, but there's actually two sidewall patterns here. This is actually the less aggressive sidewall pattern, but I'll show you the more aggressive one. It's actually facing inwards here. So this is the more aggressive pattern. So I think either one looks good. Has a little bit different text or font, whatever you want to call that, okay? Looks a little bit different on the aggressive side than the regular side. But really awesome tires, guys. I've used them in mud extensively. They're really good in mud. In fact, they're so good in mud and like gravel that many times I don't even put it in 4 high or 4 low. I just go in 2-wheel drive with traction control off, and this will get me through most muddy situations without 4 high and 4 low. Now, if it's really thick, soft mud, you got to go 4 high or 4 low. But, you know, light to moderate mud, maybe just a couple inches deep, no issues here with just keeping it in 2-wheel drive. And I have used these in snow, really good in snow. And I have used these in compacted snow and like icy snow. I do have a video of that up on my channel. I'll leave a link in the top right corner, and I'll leave a link to some mud videos as well. I did do a mud test with these. I'll leave a link to that in the top right corner, but obviously really good in mud. You can see the shoulder lugs here are just so spaced out. I mean, I can fit my whole thumb in between these shoulder lugs, and I have big hands, you know. You're talking about a 1-inch spacing between these shoulder lugs. So that's going to clear out mud and snow really well. And then these inner lugs are still pretty widely spaced. You can see my finger there, maybe about a 1/2-inch spacing between the inner lugs and the shoulder lugs or outer lugs, maybe about 1 inch. So really nice, aggressive tread pattern. They do have these sipes cut into them, which helps with flexing when you're climbing rocks or if you're driving in compacted snow. This will take some of the compacted snow and use it for traction, because the compacted snow will pack itself in these little sipes, and that will actually create extra traction, okay? And they flex, and what's nice is that these sipes go all the way down, okay? So they're actually true sipes, and they are actually connected in the middle. You can actually see there's like a little bridge here that connects these two lugs together, so the sipe does not, you know, create two separate lugs. It's one lug, but there's like a little connector there, but the sipe goes all the way down to the bottom of the lug, which is nice, okay? So that really helps with traction in the winter. If you're driving on compacted snow or ice, if you didn't have these sipes, you'd be sliding all over the place. Same thing over here, you got all these little sipes here. So that helps with winter driving. I haven't had any issues driving these in the winter. There's a lot of people that say you can't drive mud tires in the winter. They're terrible in snow. And actually in deep snow, these tires are amazing. in deep powdery snow or deep wet snow. Amazing traction with these. Basically, wet snow or deep powder snow behaves the same as mud, so they perform excellent in deep snow. In compacted snow, they perform decently. Probably not as good as an all-terrain or a snow tire, but I would say good enough to get you to where you need to go if you drive slow. Okay, don't expect to go super fast on any kind of snow or ice. Okay, but I did drive through some frozen crusted snow this past winter, and I'll leave a link in the top right corner to that. And they were sliding around a little bit even in low 4, and I was still able to get to where I needed to go. I was going off-road, and what happened was there was like 4 inches of snow and the temperature went above freezing, so it melted a little bit and it got wet. And then as soon as the sun went down, it refroze, and there was like basically a frozen crust of snow on all the roads. And I didn't have any issues at all with these tires. You know, I just had to go a little bit slower. There was more of a tendency for them to want to slide. But overall, I think these tires are great. And on road, I think they're awesome. They're not super loud, actually. They're very quiet. They're actually quieter than the factory tires that I got with the Trail Boss, which are the Wrangler Territory tires. Those tires are actually louder than these, and those have much smaller tread, and the tread blocks are tighter together. They're more of like an all-terrain, and that one's actually louder than this. Okay, so these are not loud on the road. And by the way, I didn't get sponsored to film this video. I just wanted to give you guys an honest review. Okay, so they've been really nice for me. I think they're the best all-around truck tire. If you do a good amount of off-roading, I highly recommend these for you. If you don't do a whole lot of off-roading, maybe look into something like a Wrangler DuraTrack, or more of like a rough terrain or all-terrain. But if you do a good amount of off-roading where you're going to be going through a lot of mud or deep snow, these are just amazing. I think these are amazing tires, really good grip in the mud, in the snow. And like I said, on road, they're not super loud. When you're coming to a stop and you start to slow your vehicle down, you can feel the tread blocks like rumbling when they hit the pavement. And for some people, you know, they may not like that. If you're not used to it, you may feel that it's kind of annoying, but for me, I actually like it. It makes me feel like, you know, I'm driving a proper truck. You know, you feel those tread blocks hitting the pavement. You feel that little vibration as you're slowing down. It makes you feel like you're actually driving a real truck tire and a real truck. So I actually don't mind it. But there's no like real loud humming noise or anything. There is a humming noise when you're driving. Obviously, it's a mud tire. It's not going to be super quiet, but it's not to the point where you can't carry a conversation inside of the cab, you know, normally without having to like shout, you know, and talk real loud. You can still listen to your radio at normal volume. You can still talk through your car phone at a normal volume. You don't have to shout or anything like that. Okay, there is a humming noise, okay, but like I said, it's not overpowering. It's just enough to let you know that you're driving a high quality mud tire, and it's not too loud to the point where it's obnoxious. So, you know, that's pretty much it, guys. I think it's a great tire. Highly recommend it. After about 9,000 miles, I'm down to like 13 to 15, 30 seconds of tread. And they come with 19, 30 seconds of tread, so I'd say that's really good. So I basically wore out like 30% of the tread. So, you know, probably around 30,000 miles, I'll look to change these. But super awesome tire, highly recommend them, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. And check out more of my truck videos. I'll leave a link in the top right corner to my truck playlist. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.